Welcome to the Mindset Game podcast. I'm Vered Kogan, and I am delighted to introduce you to Arishma Singh. Arishma is a keynote speaker, author, and award-winning performer with over 20 years of corporate experience working with major brands such as American Express, Nielsen Media, Google Australia, Pivot Software, and Experian Australia. After numerous health setbacks, Arishma's journey into mind-body solutions led her to EFT tapping. And for those of you who are not yet familiar with EFT, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Arishma is a globally certified and accredited EFT practitioner, and she leveraged EFT tapping to develop her own methodology called Thrive, which she shares in the book, The Respected Salesperson. In the effort to enable high performers to achieve sustainable success without compromising their well-being. She uses EFT tapping to empower individuals to overcome inner blocks and achieve life-changing transformation. And she's here today to train you on how to use EFT tapping to help you feel a sense of calm in your day-to-day work. And Arishma, it is such an honor and a pleasure to have you here today. I too, as you know, am a certified EFT practitioner. And the reason that I wanted to bring you here on the podcast is because you professionally train groups of people, corporate teams and so on as to how to use this technique to be able to experience, of course, more calm and even better productivity and performance. And so I'm just really delighted that you will share that with us today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. And namaste to everybody.
Namaste. So how about we start with you telling us a little bit more about your story? We kind of touched on it in the bio when kind of I read that some health setbacks led you to this, but can you share a little bit more about what happened and what got you to doing what you're doing now?
Sure. So first of all, I just wanted everyone to know that I'm from Australia here. And when I was in my 20s, I was taken to the hospital in an intensive care unit, and I did not know exactly what was wrong with me. And I was put under nil by mouth, which means you can't eat, you can't drink, and a lot of opioids were pumped into my body, while the doctors were also investigating what was the cause of the issue. It was pancreatitis, which is extremely painful. But in that entire period of time, I had developed a bit of an addiction to the opioids. And as part of the New South Wales mental health plan here in Australia, we're given access to some free sessions with psychologists to help with anything that is around addiction, for example. So I did make use of it afterwards as part of my rehabilitation. And in one of the sessions, there was a practitioner that actually asked me to tap on specific points of my face and my body while I was restating some of the truth about what I was feeling. And that was my introduction to EFT. I felt different. I felt calmer, and my whole body was tingling. I was yawning and burping in the session. And it was a very interesting experience for me because it kind of connected me to my childhood as well. My father used to basically put some pressure on certain acupressure points when I would have any issues with my stomach. So I was familiar with the idea of energetic points, which in the Hindi language we call it nadi, and aware of acupressure points and acupuncture. But to use it in a psychological manner was quite interesting and fascinating for me. And as you know, when you first go through something and all of a sudden it starts popping everywhere. So I also after a few months was utilizing a counselor because at that time I was in my 20s and wanted to get into relationships. So I was really trying to figure out how I can let go of my, subjective biases around that, men are not there to commit to a strong, independent, career woman. So interestingly, that counselor was also using EFT. So it was the application of EFT to my personal life. And it got me really intrigued now to look into this modality. And over the last, 13 years, I've been going into the hospital several times. And what EFT has done for me, it has empowered me to take control of my emotions while going through some severe issues. Luckily, in the last 2-3 years, medicine has actually evolved quite a bit. And I now know that I have a genetic condition which is out of my control. So while the issues that I face medically is something that is out of my control and I'm going through a genetic trial, what I do have control over is my emotions, because the first time I had it, I really had a nervous breakdown. I was not able to calm myself, whereas now I'm empowered with something that I can calm myself very quickly. I have also been able to utilize it in a specific area, which is in sales performance. And I really like the application of EFT. Even my husband as well, I've actually helped him use it for his cricket performance. He's a nurse, and after he comes back from work and he's tired, so we use EFT in several different areas of my life. I think if there is anything, I'll just talk about EFT. I love the tool. I meditate and I use other modalities too, but EFT is the one that I find is very fast and simple and effective. So that's what I'm utilizing the most.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of us find ourselves in situations where we can't necessarily control things outside of us. However, we can absolutely influence, how we respond to them. And I would even say control how we respond to them from an emotional perspective because of tools like EFT tapping. And so for those people that are like, what in the world is EFT tapping? How would you describe it?
Yeah, so EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it is a set of techniques. It is known as a psycho-physiological stress reduction tool, to put it simply. But the way that I like to explain it is that it's actually combining two really interesting forces. One is the modern science behind it. So it actually borrows from psychology, the cognitive behavioral therapy, and exposure therapy. And then the other part is the somatic stimulation, which comes from the ancient wisdom that Chinese had on the meridian energy system, which now science in the last few years has been able to prove that there is a prima vascular system, and every point, this pressure points in our body correlates to a particular organ, and that correlates to an emotion. So it's a combination of both. That means that you are stating your truth, which is guided by a practitioner. And that process is very much around, self-awareness, acceptance, exploration, and excavation. So while that practitioner is doing that, you are stimulating those particular points. And what happens at that time is when you're combining the issue and the emotion at hand, and you're stimulating those central points, our body is electric. So there is actually a calming signal that goes to our amygdala, which is our fight and flight area, and it switches that stress center off. And it also helps to actually bring out the memories that are stored in your hippocampus. So it brings forth some of the information which is sometimes submerged in our subconscious or unconscious, to help you navigate those issues as well. I feel that the key part why EFT actually works so well is because by calming your limbic brain, you're able to now open up your analytical and creative side of the brain. Because if you are constantly under pressure, stress, anxiety, and negative emotions, you get flooded. That means your central area, which is very much analytical and creative, they are not really being utilized to its highest potential. So it's a combination of the two aspects, talk therapy and the somatic stimulation, is what brings about the best results quite quickly.
Yeah, thank you. And what exactly is tapping? So some people listening might be like, what do you mean by tapping? Like actually tapping on something? Like what does that mean? You can describe that to us.
Yeah, certainly. So tapping is basically using some fingertips, and you're stimulating. You literally is the act of tapping on that particular point and moving through your facial area and then just the top half of your body. while you are either remembering certain incident and the emotion around it, or you can tap out loud. Speak out loud. So it actually is just tapping with your finger on your body. Now, tapping itself, there's so many different types of tapping. So there's generalized tapping that you might actually see where really it's not so much connected to a particular incident. What I focus on is evidence-based EFT, which is very much a sequence that is utilized. It's something that has been researched and done a lot of clinical trials on, and we want to make sure that the more specific we are, the better it is aligned to a goal achievement.
Yeah, thank you. And so tell us a little bit more about how we use EFT, like the practice of EFT tapping.
Yeah, and in the exercise that we're going to do today, I will share basically one that is, you can utilize it at any point in time. So it's a matter of actually stimulating those particular energy points, and you can just breathe. Just the process of actually doing that straight away calms your whole system down. So I tend to, so if my husband is actually, has done a really late night shift and I don't want to lie in bed and say all my truth, what I can do is sometimes I do it in my head, or if I'm lazy and I really don't even want to speak, but I need to get out of bed, I'll just tap and breathe. Same thing at night as well. I'll tap and breathe. It's just like brushing your teeth. You can do that for 5 minutes to just calm your entire system down. So that's kind of like your day to day. When I'm flying around, I love to tap at that time too. And I just take notes of a particular incident or issue that I want to work through. And I journal while I'm tapping, so that I can resolve something and see where exactly I'm at. And then I also work with practitioners as well, because sometimes we don't tend to actually know our blind spots, right? So if there are some bigger challenges, I want to make sure that I'm working with the practitioner to go through and navigate the details of it. And then I also, because I love EFT so much, every weekend I allocate certain time just to work through certain areas of my life that I want to make sure that I'm progressing and further developing myself in. So it can be used in however way you want to. It can be something that you can just do, 5 minutes a day, or it can be something that you can really invest in if you're interested in developing yourself further in a particular area.
What are the different points? I know you mentioned the meridian energy points earlier. Tell us more about what that means and where they are. Where are we actually tapping?
So let me first tell you the process, and then we'll go through each individual meridian energy points. So with EFT, the first step is actually articulating what is the specific incident that you're impacted by. As an example, let's say that I'm a program director and I'm about to go and ask the board for some funding. And what I'm noticing is that there's something weird, some sensation that I'm feeling in my chest. I just don't know what it is. So the way that you would actually create that setup phrase is that you first have to say even though, and then you articulate the incident and the emotion around it. And then from there, you basically are self-affirming yourself. So it looks like something like, even though I feel this funny feeling in my chest when I think about going to the board for this funding project, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And you're doing that 3 times because you're allowing your mind at that time to get familiar with the idea that you have this emotion and you have this particular rise in you that's happening in your body because of a specific incident. The more specific you make that, the better the results are. So that's the setup phrase. And then what you're doing also is just checking in. What is the intensity of that particular emotion that you're feeling in your body? So I would actually guide my clients to scan their body and then just go through that particular. So if they're feeling it in their chest, or if they're feeling in their head, or the back, wherever it is, you want to scan it and actually understand what is the subjective units of distress. In psychology, that's the measuring scale of your emotion. so that you're aware, okay, how bad is it? And it's normally a scale of 0 to 10. 10 is extremely intensity. So you've kind of noted down that this is what you're feeling and this is how intense you're feeling. From there, you move on to specific meridian energy points, you're tapping on them, and you're restating that particular emotion. So in this case, it's this anxiety in my chest. So you'd basically be stating this anxiety in my chest, this anxiety in my chest, this anxiety in my chest. That's a very simple way of doing it. What it's doing is that the signal that goes to your amygdala saying, do I really need to be this anxious about this? Can I switch that anxiety off? So you'll start noticing is that anxiety starts coming down. Or in other circumstances, it may not change, or it may actually go higher. So you've done one round of tapping, you self-assess yourself, and then from there, you start going through this process of self-exploration. So this anxiety in my chest, how heavy is it? What is the sensation like? Is it thick, hard? Is it electricity? Maybe you can even imagine some colors, like how does it actually look like? Because what you're doing, you're associating at that time deeply with that particular emotion rather than disassociating. And when you're connected to that particular event, it actually is easier to release it from your body. You can also, if you're being guided by a practitioner, they might actually take you through that event to actually understand the deeper nuances around that particular emotion. What is the anxiety about? Is it about, basically your colleagues that you're afraid of letting down? Or is it something that, there's some people in that board that you're finding really difficult to engage with? It could be a number of things which is very relevant to you. So you work through that event and you constantly are reevaluating the intensity of that emotion and checking how comfortable and calm you are. And the good thing about EFT is that you can retest it several times to actually really see, is it really being effective or is there more to work on? So that's the psychological part to it. Now what I'll touch on is the somatic stimulation. So while you are going through that entire recipe, you can either verbally repeat with your practitioner whatever they are stating by using your words, or if you're doing this by yourself, you can either do it verbally or you could actually think and connect and say it in your mind. So you don't really have to speak it out loud. You can basically just tap on the body and think about that particular incident very vividly while you're really connected to your emotion. So that's the idea behind it. And the process is you're starting with the side of your hand. Now, when I say side of the hand, it's one hand and you're kind of starting from the point where your pinky finger kind of connects all the way to the wrist point, and that's that meaty side of the side of the hand. Back in the old days in EFT, we used to call it the karate chop point, because think if you actually are going and doing karate, you're using that side of the hand. So you can use either of the hand, whichever you're comfortable with, and use the opposite hand and use some of your finger points, and basically you're literally tapping while you're stating the first setup phrase, which is, even though I feel this emotion because of this event, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now that is the traditional recipe formula. In my experience, I've noticed some clients are not there yet to deeply love and completely accept themselves. So it's your choice of what words are comfortable and realistic for you. The key part here is to be honest with your own self. This is about you. So, I interchangeably utilize certain phrases like, I accept the way I feel. I am safe right here, right now. I'm choosing to be okay. So these are still positive affirmations that you're telling yourself that despite being in this uncomfortable situation, I'm going to be okay. So that's how you're sending that message to your brain to become calmer. So once that setup phrases done on the side of the hand. Then we move on to the actual sequence of tapping. And what we're doing, we're using the emotion that you're feeling right now as the words. So in this case, let's just say the anxiety that I feel in my chest. And you're starting with the top of your head. So when I'm saying top of the head, it's the area where your crown is. And if you have like a middle parting, just swipe your hand and go in the middle. And you can basically tap there 5 to 7 times. Again, with 2 or 3 of your finger points, and you're just tapping and saying, this anxiety that I feel in my chest, this anxiety that I feel in my chest. So then from there, you're moving on to the next point, which is the start of the eyebrow, which is really kind of like connected to the beginning of your nose and the actual start of your eyebrow. So again, it doesn't matter whether you're using both of your hands to tap or either or, as far as you're stimulating that particular point, that's important. So you're starting again and you're tapping 5 to 7 times, stating that emotion. So in this case, the anxiety in my chest. And then you're moving on to side of the eye. The side of the eye point is actually just at the corner of where the socket is finishing, and it's some people actually can feel a dent, some can actually feel there's a bone there. So that's where you're again tapping 5 to 7 times and stating the same thing, which is this anxiety in my chest. Then you're moving to what is called under the eye, and that's right in the middle of the eye. And again, you can feel the bone there, basically tapping there 5 to 7 times and stating the emotion, which is anxiety in this case. From there, we move to what is called under the nose, and it literally is under the nose, and on top of your upper lip, you know where that little dent is. So you could again use your 2 to 3 fingertips and tap there 5 to 7 times, stating this anxiety that I feel in my chest. From there, you move to the chin point. Now the chin point is just like underneath your lower lip. Sometimes some people have a bit of a crease over there, so that's where your chin is. And you're tapping there 5 to 7 times again, stating basically the same emotion that you're feeling. From there, we move on to the collarbone point. Now, the collarbone is just basically 1 inch from your collarbone, and it meets your breastbone. If you start kind of pressing around that area, some of you might actually feel some kind of tenderness or sore point. And try both with both of your hands just to actually navigate to feel your point. And you can use both your hands again, or you can use one hand, whatever you're comfortable with. And you're again tapping 5 to 7 times on that particular area. And then we move on to the final point, which is basically under the arm. So that is literally where the females actually have their bra strap. It's the easiest way to actually understand where that particular point is. So again, you can use both of your hands and do a bit of like a, when I'm doing this with children, I just say, call this the monkey dance. So, and you can use both of your hands, or you could just basically move up one of the hand and use the other hand to tap. So whatever you feel comfortable with, that is called basically one tapping round. And when we're doing it, you'll notice it will just go very quickly. I just wanted you to be familiar with all of the points.
I'm really excited for you to guide us through this. I think this is one of those techniques that we can talk about all day, but until somebody really experiences a significant reduction in stress within just a few minutes, it really demonstrates to them the value of this work. And of course, there's loads of research on this. And I know you've shared a little bit of the science of tapping. Of course, people are welcome to check that out some more online. There are many resources, but I'm really grateful to you for giving us an experience of it.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, for all of the ones that are like Science Geek, just go to scienceoftapping.org. It provides all of those studies that actually are there in the Western world. There's over 120 clinical studies. There's fMRI scans now and saliva tests to show the reduction of cortisol, for example, by 31%, increase in happiness by 37%. There's so much that's been done. My personal mentor here, Dr. Peter Stapleton from Bond University, she's a professor there, and she's been doing numerous studies on, weight issues as well, pain management. And recently she's been working on memory reconsolidation. So it's extremely exciting with what's happening in Australia. And, in the US, Harvard University has been able to do significant research to show the efficacy of meridian energy points. So what used to be a woo-woo thing, it really is not, because now there's some serious science behind it. So if you're someone that is highly analytical and wants to go out and find out about it, please do, because it's quite fascinating. But for those who are more like me, are really about, okay, well, let me experience it for myself. I think the way that we can approach it is twofold. One, I would like to give you something practical that you can take and use it every day, which is tap and breathe, where you're not even saying anything, because if you're feeling a bit uncomfortable in the beginning, just use tap and breathe. So I will guide you through the tap and breathe session. And then after that, I will take you through a guided imagery of a particular incident that is actually in the future. I'm deliberately choosing not to go through anything that is past event, because I'm mindful that I don't want you to get triggered without any support. So the first part of EFT is your emotional safety. So definitely don't do this if you're driving. I'd encourage you to do this when you're in the safety of your home. Also would be great if you can actually carry some water, because after every round, just having a sip of water helps you to process that quite nicely in your body as well, because you are releasing emotions, and sometimes it can be quite tiring and you can feel dehydrated. So it's better to replenish yourself and try it in different time frames. If you're a morning person, just when you're in bed, tap and breathe for 5 minutes, or going to bed. If you can't sleep, I tap for 2 minutes and I'm off. So I think that there's so many applications to just tapping and breathing. We'll focus on that first so that you get familiar with the points as well. And then we'll move on to a live workshop, a particular incident as well. Does it sound okay, Varun?
Of course, Arishma. Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. So what I'd like you to do is sit up straight first and just feel grounded initially. Just feel how your feet is feeling on the ground so that you're connected to your body. And then take a deep breath. So breathe in and breathe out. Thank you. Now I'd like you to do the assessment of how your breath felt, where 10 meant that you were feeling a lot of distress and you were not able to completely breathe openly and deeply, whereas 0, no, there was just no distress. I'm breathing to my full potential. So if you can just rate your distress around that breathing for your own mind, and if you have a pen and paper, just write that number down so that you know where you're at. Great. Thank you. Now we'll start with the side of the hand, and all I'm going to ask you is you tap while I'm asking you to breathe in and breathe out. So you're tapping and all you're doing is breathing in and breathe out. So we're starting now. Keep tapping and now breathe in and breathe out. We're doing it a second time. Breathe in and breathe out. And the third time, breathe in and breathe out. Right. Now we'll start on the top of the head, so that crown point. Breathe in and breathe out. We're moving on to the start of the eyebrow. Breathe in and breathe out. Now moving on to the side of the eye. Breathe in breathe out. Now move to under the eye. Breathe in and breathe out. You're doing really well. Now, under the nose, breathe in and breathe out. Moving to the chin point, just under your lip. Breathe in and breathe out. Moving on to the collarbone point, just 1 inch below, meeting the breast point. Breathe in and breathe out. Beautiful. Now, the last one, just under your arm. Breathe in and breathe out. Okay. Stop now. And just tune into your body to feel how are you actually feeling now, the sensations. And then I invite you to take another deep breath. Breathe in and out. And just check in. How's your breath now compared to the first one that you took? And that's just one round of tap and breathe. If you did 5 or 6 rounds, you'll just notice that slowly and slowly, your diaphragm is expanding. You feel like, I can breathe a lot more. Before I go for a walk or run, or even when I don't want to go and do yoga, I was like, oh. But once you start actually breathing, it's quite funny, breath and water, 2 things that we take for granted. If we actually replenish our body, you can be a performance machine. So I hope that you're able to assess how that felt for you. How was it for you, Vired?
It was fabulous. It was fabulous. I noticed definitely a softening. It's just lighter. It's definitely more open. And I was in pretty good state to begin with, and I still found a really nice just softening of the body. Yeah.
Great. That's really nice to hear. So I guess we're going to do this now in action with a particular event. So like I mentioned, I prefer to do something that's future rather than past, just for your own safety here. So how about let's just close our eyes for a minute, and let's imagine in the next 2 to 3 days or even a week, you have a particular meeting or event at work. It could be an interview, it could be a performance discussion with your manager, it could be presentation to a board. If you're in sales, you're meeting with a client. It could be an array of things, but you know that you have something in your diary to do in this coming few days, and you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable just thinking about it. So it shouldn't be something that's extremely, threatening. It's something that you can manage, but you're just not feeling that great about it. So if you've got that event, and if you have a pen and paper, you can write that down. But if you don't, just note that event, and we will call it work event for the purpose of this interview, of this meeting. And I want you to just scan your chest, because we'll target this event based on how your heart's feeling, and we'll work through that. So whatever the sensation of feeling it is, I'll label it stress in this circumstance or discomfort, but whatever your emotion is, just make sure you're connected to that. So great. So now we have, you can open your eyes now, please. What you have here is a very specific event that you're going to attend in the coming days or week, and you're also connected to a sensation in your chest. It could be anything. And now we'll start tapping. So the first thing we do is create the setup statement. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll say the statements, and I'll ask you, what you need to do is actually keep tapping. When I say side of the hand, you're tapping, and you can either repeat it out loud or you can repeat it in your mind. It doesn't matter. So this is the first round. It's the side of the hand. Even though. I feel this sensation in my chest just thinking about this work event. I accept how I feel. Even though I have this feeling in my chest that I don't know what it is. When I think about this work coming up, this work event, right here, right now, I'm safe. Even though there's something going on in my chest. I'm feeling something, I don't know what it is, as I think about that work event. I'm choosing to be okay. Now we're moving on to the top of the head. So we've done 3 rounds now, and we're moving to the top of the head. This sensation in my chest. Eyebrow point. This sensation in my chest. Moving on to side of the eye. This sensation in my chest. As I think about that event. Under the eye. This sensation in my chest. Is it stress? I wonder. Under the eye. This feeling in my chest. Chin point. All this emotion that I'm feeling in my chest. And it's related to this work event. Collarbone point. This feeling that I have in my chest as I think about this work event. Under the arm. All this emotion that I'm carrying in my chest, just thinking about this work event. Now you can stop, just breathe in and breathe out. Now the next round, I'm going to go through a bit more questioning, and this is where I'm inviting you to just think about that event quite vividly and feel the emotion. So you may not have to repeat this, but just stay with me. So we're starting again on the side of the hand 3 times. Even though I have this emotion in my chest as I think about that work event, I'm curious to find out more about it. Even though I have this emotion that I feel in my chest and I can't really label it, but I can feel it as I think about this work event. I accept all that I feel. Even though my heart's telling me something, some sensation going on as I just contemplate about that particular event at work that I need to go through. Right here, right now, I'm safe. Now, top of the head. This emotion in my chest. I wonder what it could be. What is it that I'm feeling as I'm thinking about going into that event? About somebody? Start of the eyebrow. This feeling in my chest. It feels... Now think about it. Is it feeling hard, heavy, deep, light, fluttering? What is the sensation that your chest is feeling as you're vividly imagining going into that particular work event? Side of the eye. All this sensation in my chest. What is it really telling me? Under the eye. This sensation in my chest. Who are these people that my chest is reacting to? How do they look like? What am I doing? I wonder what is my heart really triggered for? Under the nose. All this sensation in my chest. Is there a way to find out more? On the chin point. All of this sensation that I'm feeling in my chest. Is it distress? What is it? What if I had to give it a name of this feeling that I'm feeling in my chest? I wonder what would that be? Collarbone. All this sensation that I'm feeling in my chest. What about this event is causing this emotion? Is it me? Is it someone else? Is it a thing? What is it? Under the arm, all this sensation that I'm feeling in my chest. Now, that's a second round. Let's just breathe in and breathe out and scan your chest a bit more and see how that feeling is. If you've written a number, just write the next number down. Now, in a typical session, I'd probably go into a lot of different scenarios. We'd be talking a lot about that particular event. I'll try and find out, okay, is it a color? Is it a sensation? What does it look like? Is it heavy, light? Is it, you'll have your own language associated with it. So just imagine that there's a lot of self-exploration that has happened about that particular event. And you can do that on your own. Just keep peeling the onion, the layers to understand what is causing it. And also keep checking into your chest to see, is it actually moving? Sometimes the emotion actually moves from one area to the other. So be very mindful of how your body is feeling and allow it to give you the information that it requires. And then now the third round that I would like to get you to experience is what I call the wonder process. And this is actually just checking in your mind. Are you ready to release it? Is your body giving you permission? So we'll use some of that words today just for you to get familiar with. Great. So again, we're going on the side of the hand and starting with the karate chop point, and we'll do it 3 times. Even though I have this sensation in my heart as I think about this work event, right here, right now, I'm okay. Even though I feel this feeling in my heart, and it's something related to this work event, I'm curious to know if I can let it go. Even though I have this sensation in my chest as I think about this work event, I'm wondering what the possibilities could be to really release it out of my system. Right here, right now, I am safe. Now let's move on to the top of the head. This sensation in my heart. Am I open to release it? I wonder. Start of the eyebrow point. This feeling that I have in my heart as I think about that work event. Is there any reason for me to keep holding it? I wonder. Side of the eye. All this feeling that I have in my heart when I think about this work event, the people in there, oh God, all of the things that I need to do. Is there a way for me to release myself from all of this? I wonder. Under the eye, all of this feeling that I'm feeling in my chest. Am I open to being able to release them, or am I closed? I wonder. What could be the reason behind that? I wonder. Under the nose. All the sensation that I feel in my chest. Am I willing to let it go? What is my will saying? No wonder. The chin point. All this sensation that I have in my heart related to this work event. Can I choose to let it go? I wonder. Collarbone. This feeling that I carry in my heart related to this upcoming work event. What would my choice be? Should I let it go? I wonder. Final points, which is underneath your arm. this emotion that I'm carrying in my heart, I'm open, willing, and choosing to release it. So I give my body the permission to let it go. Thank you, body. Thank you for your cooperation. Have a great day. Now breathe in and breathe out. So just want to make a note here that this last one is normally done kind of 3/4 of the way when we're about to close a session, or if you're about, you're into a place where, okay, you've explored an emotion, but you don't have much time. Give your mind the opportunity to wander and say, am I planning to release it, or is there something else that's holding me back? It gives you more information quickly, but also you want to close it on a note where you can, what we call in EFT, just, put it in a box of safety so that you're not still thinking about that, oh, that was a triggering event. So the wonder process actually helps you kick off into a different dimension in your mind. And being grateful, I feel, is a way to actually really quickly get into a great headspace. So the other thing that I also love doing is if something great has happened to me, instead of, tapping on the negative, all I do is just go, thank you. And I start from the side of the hand and just tap on all of the points and just say, thank you, because it really goes into my body and I can embody that gratitude. And your state of being just changes the entire day. You connect with people in a different manner and it feels awesome. So I'll stop there, Vered. And how did you feel that particular session went?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. And I loved the kind of artfulness in it and the kind of that wonder round as well. So I wasn't even conscious about the fact that I had some worry about an event that's coming up on Friday. But as we started, I'm like, when you had me imagine, I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I actually feel some worry. I was feeling it in my chest and also in my gut. And it was 7 out of 10, and it's dissolved. I don't feel that because, the learning that I got was I'm going to be okay. I just like intuitively know that now. So, my worry was because I wasn't sure if I would be totally prepared. There's a book I need to read before that, and I'm not sure if I'll get it done and all this kind of stuff. But now I just trust. I know I'll just do my best and it'll happen exactly the way that it needs to happen. So I don't feel worried about that anymore. So it was really, really nicely done. I love that you guided us through 3 rounds, because I think, sometimes it can take more than 1 round to soften what we're feeling, whether it's anxiety or sadness or regret, if it's about something in the past, or, maybe, sadness or whatever it might be. This is a wonderful technique. And I also appreciate that you gave us, before this, also kind of the basic process, right? So, starting with saying, all right, what is an event that I'm feeling some distress about, right? Past, present or future, as we did in the guided session. What are some emotions I'm feeling about this? Where is the distress from 0 to 10, what you called the subjective units of distress, the SUDs? And then where is it kind of in my body? And then to begin, as you said, that setup statement, even though I feel this emotion in my, wherever it is, as I focus on the event, like in this example, the future work event or the meeting with the board or whatever it might be, I, deeply and completely love and accept myself, or I accept that this is how I feel right now, doing that 3 times, and then going through the points, as you said, this emotion in my, wherever it is in the body, like in the example, this anxiety in my chest or in my heart. And I so appreciate the gentleness with which you guided us through. I felt so calm just by being guided by your voice and your energy. I think that's a part of it as well. And I really appreciate that you did that with us, because when people are doing it with themselves, to have that kind of tone, just it's a gentle process, And I think that you modeled that really, really well for us. And my sincere hope is that people like me experience kind of a softness around some future event. And if there isn't a future event, that's cool. Now they know what to do, right? When something comes up, because of course, things in life do come up, whether it's work event or personal event. Sometimes they'll feel it in their chest. Sometimes they'll feel it, like you said, somewhere else. But now they know how to do this. So just really my sincere gratitude for you, not only sharing this with our audience today, but also for the work that you do to bring this into teams, into workplaces, because everybody deserves to feel better, and we're human beings and we feel emotions, and it's good that we feel them. We just don't want to keep them, right? We want to get the learnings and let them go. And what a wonderful way to do that, as you've trained us today. So how can people learn more about your trainings, about the Thrive program, so that they can have even more experiences of this?
Yeah, certainly. I'll definitely go through that. I wanted to just let the audience know that sometimes you don't have an event, you don't even know what is triggering you. You just have a sensation in your body and you're like, why am I feeling this? So just go with that particular feeling that you have, and then your mind is really good. It starts giving you that information. Also wanted to just let people know, because if you have kids, I use this with my, 8-year-old niece, and she used to be terrified just about, boogeyman under her bed. So before she would sleep. So we did some rounds of tapping. It was, the language is not that built in a, a 8-year-old, but there are so many tapping sessions that children are doing now, and it's really helpful. I've gone out to high school students, and, teenagers are so skeptic. So for them, it's about exam stress. And the minute you connect them to that particular exam coming up and how they feel about it, all of a sudden, a light goes on. So it can be applied to so many things. And like I mentioned, for me, I just wanted to have a partner. So I applied it to my love life. And afterwards, I applied it to my professional life. And that's how the book was developed. So it can be applied to however you want, as far as you make it very specific and you're in tune with your body. That's the key part to go with. And for your day-to-day well-being, just tap and breathe. And if you want to learn more, you can just go to my website, arishma.com. Right on the front page, there's free learning under Edupreneur. And when you click on it, it will take you to a page where you can either download that app on your iPhone or Google, or you can even do it on the web. It's all free. It goes through the whole process step by step. It's an audio-visual guide. It has lots of exercises as well. So yeah, enjoy that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm grateful for those resources, because I think that this is one of those techniques that can require a little bit of practice until it's more intuitive, and to be guided through it is really, really helpful. So thank you again,
Thank
Arishma,
you.
for
Thank you.
just your love, your beautiful guidance today, and for sharing this with the world.
Yeah, I appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you.